So this is the wildlife tree. See the lightning strike? You see the slash on the side? That's lightning strike. Since I retired from being a school librarian 11 years ago, I spend every minute of every day that I possibly can out here in my woods.
The bark is just peeling off this tree. Very cool for insects and beetles. You can see all the holes in it.
And we saw Pileated working that hole about 2 days ago.
Yeah, up about 30 feet, working the trunk of the tree, walking up the trunk of the tree, going around and reaching that hole and poking his head in there. So maybe it's preparing a nesting cavity there.
Here's a red-headed up on this pine that has the screech owl box. And if you follow it all the way up to the first long branch off to the left, he's right at the corner of the branch and the pine.
And one of the things that we do to preserve the wildlife is try to keep the surrounding acreage as natural as possible. In so doing, we keep wildlife trees that have died, some of the taller elements for the birds, keeping the lower piles for the insects. Having your eyes opened to that wildlife around you is remarkable.
So we're walking. I just saw a bird fly up into it. See the snag behind that oak tree? There's a red-bellied, yeah.
So there we go, another species, red-bellied woodpecker. That's 3 species that we've got in the trees right within 100 feet of each other, it seems. So one of the things about the wildlife trees is you have to be selective of the ones you can leave up. We're fortunate, we have 20 acres. A lot of these trees aren't gonna do us a lot of damage when they fall, but they will eventually fall, and it can be dangerous. So if they're close to your home, you're gonna have a harder time with a wildlife tree, but you can cut them down to a level that won't be a danger.
Earlier this year, we had a big tree fall on our barn, and we had a tree company come out to clean that up. And that's when we assessed the condition of the trees that were next to our house. And we decided that 2 of these trees were a threat to falling on the house. And we had that tree company cut down those 2 trees, but we left them standing about 20 or 25 feet so that if they do fall, they're not going to damage the house now. But with the way they're cut, they're great perching areas for owls, like barred owls. We have barred owls here. As the wood decays, woodpeckers will start making cavities. The woodpeckers are like the carpenters of the avian world, and then other birds will use those cavities, like chickadees and titmice and bluebirds and great crested flycatchers. So a lot of birds depend on these cavities that the woodpeckers make.
About 12 or 15 years ago, I was going down the driveway and I looked down on the ground and there was this bird. It looked like gold, and then it flew up into the tree, and I must have sat there as long as the bird stayed there. And that was my first, oh my God, I love this bird. I want to see more of these.
Sherri's describing what we call in Audubon a spark bird, or a spark moment. And that just hooks you on it. And we became more and more aware of the species around us. And that brought us to the realization, well, these birds are living in dead wood on this property, dead wood that we were not looking at as beneficial previously. But knowing that it is such a special part of the wildlife environment, it gives you a great feeling in preserving it and keeping it here, because you know you're benefiting the wildlife around you and the experiences that you have in seeing wildlife around you, which we get to enjoy every day now. I mean, you see the results every day.
So this is one of our brush piles. We had a bunch of branches that fell down, and this is great habitat. Carolina wrens, we probably see Carolina wrens using it almost every day. That was a Carolina wren that just is singing right now. All sorts of birds will use that for hiding, for looking for food, and for protective areas. Like here, I have the feeder close to trees, shrubs, and brush. I'll throw branches down nearby. Really, you want to have protective areas that the birds can come in, get food, and then dart back out and be protected from predators.
Looking out in the field, we have 3 big brush piles. We just leave it, let it sit for a few years, and it shrinks down, and the birds love it, and other animals are in and out of it.
We'll see sparrows. There'll be grasshopper sparrows in here, song sparrows, vesper sparrows, white-throated sparrows, white-crowned sparrows. We see buntings in here, a couple indigo buntings. The connection between birding and conserving the land for the species that were here for the long term is what really has informed us and driven us. And on this property, there's over 140 species that have been spotted here.
If you learn about birds and their status, it's a way of understanding the status of the environment. If birds are thriving, then for the most part, there's less environmental concerns. But when birds start declining, they're a visual indication that there's problems with the environment.